My name is Gabriella Gómez-Mont, and I head Laboratory for the City, which is a new type of government department in Mexico City working with the mayor. We have two main interests. One of them is civic innovation, which means how can we start reimagining and reinventing the way the government and civil society come together, collaborate. And the other one is urban creativity, which is basically answering the question, how can the city in and of itself become this traveling surface for ideas? The lab is based in Mexico City, and being the oldest and largest city on the American continent, this very much influences the way that we think about things, as well as the challenges that we have forward in talking about public participation and all sorts of things. How do you create spaces for collaboration, participation when you work in a city of 22 million people strong? So I think this has its obvious challenges, like how do these amount of people sit at the table and have influence? But it also has a certain series of opportunities, because in many ways you have 22 million brains that are able to join into the conversation and think about futures and prototype possibilities. At the lab, we have the fortune of being able to work on small prototypes and sometimes slightly outlandish speculative work, but we also have the capacity to work with the rest of the government, and in that sense have the lab be able to influence a territory that is much larger than the one that we inhabit. One of those examples is what we're now working with the Attorney General, as well as with local Congress and other ministries, on creating Mexico's and possibly Latin America's first dynamic law. So basically this dynamic law that has to do with our open city agenda tries to answer the question, how do you actually create legal frameworks for changing scenarios? Many times we think about legal issues becoming completely solid, very much embedded in time and space, and almost eternal, if you will. But in a certain sense, society changes very quickly, and it's now changing especially quickly because of new technologies and things that have to do with the way that we're staking open government. So this will be, let's say, a law that is embedded with algorithm and that can change with the changing times, as well as allow for input, very quick input from civil society and other people that are involved in these discussions. The lab functions as a hybrid space between civil society and government. My team is composed of 19 people that come from running their own foundations, and it's incredibly multidisciplinary, everything from artificial intelligence experts to historians, artists, designers, filmmakers, architects, policymakers, international relationships, journalists, etc. And since we report directly to the mayor, we function as this vehicle of translation and communication with civil society and government. So one of the things that we're incredibly interested in is thinking about participatory governance in many ways. Like, how do you actually not only have people become part of the conversation and public policy that is being created by government, but how does one tap into citizen talent? How do you have strong collaborations where government can incubate citizens' ideas and function as a catalyzer for that creativity, and in turn also feed this type of talent into its own forming of political imagination, of how we think about cities, how we think about ourselves as a society, and coming together in the space and scope of a megalopolis.